So in regards to like the Fernald property and the other property the state owns on Trapelo Road, how much say does Waltham have in what is done with that property if it's owned by the state?
Well, how much say has to do with how much we fight and work together. And I recognized immediately that that was my unique role, being an elected official from Waltham, to ensure that we established a reuse committee to help influence what happens to the property. Now, the reuse committee is, as I authored, and it's state law, is made up of elected officials in Waltham and also residents and some state officials. So there's a broad spectrum of stakeholders, but it's heavily influenced with the Waltham perspective. And the reuse committee will come up with a framework and a plan on what we in Waltham think should be used on the property in the future. And that framework plan will be sent to the City Council for ratification or some alterations, and then sent to the state and the legislature, and it has to be approved by both branches in the legislature and the governor. So although the state has the final say, it's very difficult for the state to change course once a formal reuse committee is established. And so again, we have the influence. If we exert our influence at that level, and through public hearings, which I ensured will happen through state law and mandated, and just residents coming together and talking about what the property should be used for in the future.
And if the state came up with their own idea of what they wanted to do, like we want to put a new courthouse here or something, they would still have to work with the town to approve that plan?
Well, the reuse comes in, the reuse plan or reuse committee comes into play once the state declares all of the land or some of the land surplus. And they have yet to do that, which again is an important. I didn't want to wait until, I thought it was important that Waltham not wait until the land was surplus.
Have the committee ready to
Right,
go.
so we're ready, we're on board, we're formulating our plan. But to answer your question, once they declare part of it surplus, the state agency that is in charge of surplusing the property first surveys all other state agencies to see if they would like a use of the property. And so some state agency may say that yes, they would have use for the property and would like part of the property for their services, whatever they need. And so there's a separate process of that, and we could play a role in that, but where we have more influence is on what happens after the state declares that they have no longer have a use for certain property. And I think all along this, what the state's been trying to do is reduce their costs and also bring in some money, especially during these difficult financial times. And they look for quick fixes to bring in some money, but we're the ones who have to live with the consequences, and we're the ones that lived with.
Well, that's what I'm concerned about.
Right.
I mean, would the state be looking to just sell some of that property?
Well, they have been looking to do that for a number of years, and they still are, looking to do that. And I've been fighting them, and you have to, continue to fight.
Right.
Even when you win, situations like this, you have to still be on guard and fighting, because there's a whole host of stakeholders that, state officials or, elected representatives from other parts of the state, or just, developers, private entities that want to make some money or create more housing, which in and of itself is not a bad thing. We just want to make sure that it's not overdone. So that's what we have to be on guard for, and that's why I've been working hard to do, because I know it's important. It's important to me, it's important to you, and our other friends that live in Waltham.
Right, so if they were to decide to sell that piece of property, we still want to make sure there's a process with the town they would have to go
right.
to agree with, or a system that both parties are happy with the result.
Right, and a few years ago the state tried to change that process, which You know, people are trying to change the process all the time throughout the years and throughout the decades. But a few years ago, Governor Romney was successful in changing it for a special 2-year pilot time frame, and he could just auction. The state was auctioning off state property with little input from local officials or local residents or the legislature. And I led the charge to change that and to make sure that that change in process was not made permanent, because some very influential and powerful people in Boston and across the state wanted to make that change permanent, so that they wouldn't have to fight
Right, they could just
local
start
residents
taking over
exactly.
properties they want.
Right.